Hello and welcome to this video. It's been a while since we've recorded a video of a game. We're playing KenParker, a similar rating to us. We're still on a provisional rating. We're playing a Sicilian defense. So expecting d4, but maybe we get something different. Now we get this c3 line. I usually play d5 here. So we're going to get some kind of semi-French type system here. So e6 to recapture c5 with the bishop. We've got the bishop on the outside of the pawn chain, and here just blocking with the knight. Probably going to play a6 to encourage this bishop to take. And I think we just go ahead and gain space on the queen side here. Yeah. So we could try knight e7 here. Yeah, let's go with knight e7. And that way we're going to recapture the bishop with the knight. If d takes c5, then I'm going to play bishop takes and then move the knight. Probably to g6, something like that. Okay, so let's go with that plan. We can also play here knight f5. I think knight g6 is good. We pressure the e5 pawn, so we're threatening to win that immediately. And if that's defended, which he doesn't, he wants to keep the c5 pawn. So I think, not sure which we want to take. I think this is probably good here. Take with this knight, okay. And then we've got potentially, so we could try here queen c7. Queen c7 is probably good here. Although rook e1, is that a problem for us? I think queen 7 on rook e1, we might have to play knight d7 again, pressurizing the c5 pawn. So what about this move? If bishop takes c5. That's interesting now. Bishop takes c5. Now, bishop takes e5 is not possible because of the pin. If the pawn takes the knight, then we take the bishop on d4, and this c pawn is pinned. So possibly. So have we won a pawn here? Okay, so he does go for that, but I feel like we get the e5 pawn now. So we now can't take with the queen, but we can definitely take with the bishop here. Okay, so f8 is hit, but I think we just get castled. No, just get castled. Okay. And let's just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are a couple of pawns up actually here. I think. Where's that knight coming? That knight's coming to f3, and I think we just move the bishop here because it's coming there anyway. The only issue about this move actually, yeah, maybe this isn't so accurate because, yeah, I was expecting queen. Okay, that's probably all right. So I think we just get on the C file. Okay, so let's try queen c5 now because it's a little bit awkward with the queen. The queen can't come out to g. Oh, it can come to g3. Queen can come to g3. So we could try something like queen e3. In fact, actually, queen e3, and rook comes on to the e file. And then where do we go with that queen? Or do we just play? I mean, what's the threat here? The threat is move the knight and then take the bishop on f6. But where can the knight go to? Can the knight go anywhere where it can't get taken? I don't think it can. So I'm going to play b4 here. We're going to try and break open the position. So I think that we just take this off now. And I don't see anything concrete here, so let's take on c3. Okay, so now we take this pawn as well. I don't see anything here. Okay, he's just trading off the queens, but that doesn't seem to me to be right because I mean he's 3 pawns down now, right? So rook c2 here to hit the a pawn. Okay, so you're just giving up another pawn. I mean, this is just nonsense, isn't it? Okay, so our rook is tied, but I think if we go with something like, let's go with g6. We're going to want to play that move anyway. And let's come up here with the king. F pawn's still tied here. Let's just I think actually rook a4 is nice because it will encourage g3 to protect the pawn, and that gives us the second rank here. So let's close this down, and then we're going to take the second rank away from white. I mean, it's slightly awkward that we can't really ever move our f pawn. So let's go ahead and grab that with tempo. And let's start pushing this pawn forward. And hopefully the winning plan will become clear at some point. Okay, so now we could play a4 and just accept that, you know, we trade off a pair of rooks with a winning endgame. I mean, I think actually it's hard to achieve anything otherwise because we can't really move our king away from f7. Potentially we could play something like, yeah, I'm going to just give up a rook to trade this off. And I think now something like rook d8, pushing the d pawn should be pretty strong. So now e5 to dislodge the rook. I feel like these pawns are just marching home now. Let's play f5. And that will give us the f6 square for our king. And I think, yeah, he's resigned, yeah, okay. And we'll say no to that so we can review the game, and we'll pause there. Alright, so just a quick analysis of the game. So this I think was felt like the critical moment in the game. And white played f4, but I think that missed this tactic of the pin on the queen. So I think white should just probably play simply with b4 here, and then he gets a protected passed c pawn, and is probably doing pretty well. Especially as this knight is kind of loose here. I mean, I thought that this was good for black, or let's say decent for black, but I'm not so sure. The more I look at it, it feels like maybe black's position is a bit loose, maybe a bit underdeveloped here. So I think with b4 here, that could be good. After f4, we had this nice tactic. Now I think maybe here maybe something like queen. Not sure. Perhaps queen to. I mean, you can just take this, maybe take, and then after the check, we then still have to solve the problem of our knight. As played, this meant we won this e pawn here. So after, I think white was in trouble. So we got 5 pawns here, so we're already a couple of pawns up here. So we won not 1 but 2. So I think that was kind of the critical moment, and then I think white sort of lost interest in the game. But we'll also have a look at the opening, and it seems that we did make some inaccuracies. So let's do that now. So first inaccuracy is already here. Like I said, when in answer to this c3 move, I've often played d4 here. Sorry, d5. Wanting to prevent white getting this nice centre here, you know, as a way of just sort of breaking over the position. But it looks like knight f6 is a better way to achieve that. So let's see, knight f6. Then white it was so bishop e3. If white plays d3 to protect the pawn, then black's achieved what he wants, which is to stop this immediate d4. So bishop e2, that's interesting. So obviously there's a reason why we can't take this e4 pawn. Of course. Yes, if knight takes e4, we've got queen a4 check, wins the knight immediately. So that's a nice tactic. So interesting. But if white plays d4, then the d4 pawn blocks the queen, looking at the pawn, so that allows knight takes. So that's a nice move. So next time I face the c3, we'll go with the knight f6. So as played, we went d5, which doesn't like, gives white an advantage. White should take, but he pushed. I think when he pushes, that's obviously okay for black. Bishop f5, d4, e6, and I think this is starting to get a position where sort of a more known position. Most common move here, bishop e2, play bishop e5. Again, I think that kind of helps black with his development a bit. Knight c6 played, and then castles or queen a4 are the main moves. That's fine. a6 isn't played here. We only got 3 games. Rook c8 or queen b6 to encourage the bishop to move. I played a6, and then we got this nice expansion on the king side. And then in this position here, it's got my move as knight ge7 as an inaccuracy, and I think that's because basically we are losing the c5 pawn, and we have to work kind of hard to get it back, and maybe we don't get it back automatically. So just basically taking on c2 was better according to the computer. And if we do take here, then queen takes c2, and then what does it want to play here? Let's just have a look. Yeah, just sort of takes here. Takes with a roughly equal position, a very equal position. I mean, black's got lots and lots of space on the queen side. It's sort of a French position, but with black having solved this problem with the c8 bishop. So I think computer like that better. As played, we had this bishop f5. Okay. Yeah. So here, we then took on c2 and knight g6 is alright. Queen b8 also. Queen b8 also has the idea of targeting the pawn. Lots of arrows on the board. And it wants white to play just b4 here as the strongest move with an advantage. Bishop here a bit less good. Queen. I'm just taking this pawn immediately looks okay. I only wanted to take. Yeah, so it likes. Oh, it still has a clear advantage for white, so after knight takes here, which is what was played, bishop knight takes, then best move just b4, hanging on to the pawn. Instead of that, bishop d4 is a bit less good. And knight c6 is the best move here. So it doesn't like my move queen c7. Queen c7 doesn't prevent b4, that's the problem. I mean, knight c6 doesn't prevent it either. So I mean, presumably if knight c6 in this position, why not just b4 now anyway? Let's just see. Why not? Okay, so you can play a5, and then the threat is to take, and you can't play a3 because eventually we end up taking on b4 and this a pawn is pinned, so this helps us to break open the pawn, so that's the reason why. Okay, so queen c7 was played, and white should play b4 here. Instead he played f4, and then that gives the advantage fairly squarely over to black as we saw in the game. Okay, thanks very much for watching.